I think we can start. We're pretty good in time. I'm very happy this time that I can introduce to you some very interesting partner sessions. So this time I will not take the stage here. I'm just here to quickly introduce three partners that were really so keen and supporting us here to talk about how they are using Cloud ALM already and how they are concretely using Cloud ALM to challenge the situation, to manage multiple projects or to roll out Cloud ALM in their own partner company. We have this session split it in three parts, so each of our presentations will usually take 15 minutes, so therefore I will leave stage pretty soon. And I'm very happy that I can introduce first of all Ole, good friend of us from Deloitte, and he will tell which experience he made and which challenges he's facing with Cloud ALM to be used in Deloitte as a standard delivery tool for them. Maybe Ole, you would like to come on stage? Swap with me. I take the relaxing part.
Okay, thank you, David, for inviting me to the stage here today to tell a little bit about Cloud ALM and how we in Deloitte have enabled Cloud ALM and are working with Cloud ALM in our SAP projects. Shortly, right now this year is more than half of my life, I've worked with SAP now. So starting back in R3, where life was easy, developing in all application areas, transport was just something that we took and pushed around in the systems, and everybody was happy. Go live was a weekend, we were sitting there together and in a war room, and then things worked. Continuing to NetWeaver stack, that's the first time where SAP put everything into one stack, was also a great experience working in integration, workflow, record case management, always trying to have the cutting edge. Coming to Deloitte, 6 years ago, it was project governance. I think, governance, compliance, and all that stuff. Okay, I can do it. We had a project with a problem, and then I could use my experience from solution manager and then starting with focus build. So that's my way to stand here now, heading the delivery excellence in the Nordic for Deloitte, have founded the EMEA Deloitte Cloud ALM community to enable our organization to use Cloud ALM. So it will not be a technical session. You've seen a lot of slides with the tool chain and all that stuff. So I will tell a little bit about my experience in a big organization with huge companies, how to enable them to go to Cloud ALM. So enablement, that is for me the key word, because it is important to get acceptance from the customer that we start using this tool. And SAP is doing a great job with all events like this, but also in the RISE contract, the GROW, or everywhere there's Cloud ALM, because we have to change the customers' adaptation, but also, I think, us from the consultant side to start using it. This is a new tool, a strong tool, and the tool of the future, already based in the cloud. So it's, for us, it's a question to get the stakeholders and create adaptation. The world has changed. The world has changed very fast. And with Cloud ALM, a new paradigm comes to world. So I just spoke with Daniel here from Swisscom and say, we are on the point zero now. We are starting something totally new. And that needs that we change the world, the SAP world. And that's on us consultants, partners, and customers to move ahead. And we also require new skills. It's a new role. Swisscom in the keynote showed the iceberg. So I've moved from the basement and moving to the top, to the business, because that's here we need to make the change and get the adaptation. Now, Cloud ALM is no longer a tool for people in the infrastructure. Cloud ALM is a tool for us sitting together with the PMO and as reporting to the whole project. And that is the most important thing to adapt. That is an adaptation also on the customer need to accept it. The developers and development teams, they are still yelling at me, oh, they give me a transport. I say, oh, we're working focus build, do you have a work package, do a work item? That's how we work things too. In Cloud ALM, see, oh, you have a feature. There's a requirement, there's a connection to a feature, and the business process, that is where you work. Oh, only move the transport. No. You release it. You set the status. Change the status, and then the TOC will be there. The transport will move. That's same with the consultants. So we have to involve all them into our new world. Bring them into our new world, and I will tell a little bit how we're working with it at Deloitte. But there are areas of adaptation. There are existing tools. There are existing tools in Deloitte we use a lot, and we have to find out how this works with Cloud ALM. The customer has existing tools. Some of them have a strong tool chain. We always use this. Some of them you can adapt into Cloud ALM, much easier than Focus Build, and some you can't. It makes no sense. They're redundant. By using Cloud ALM, I will think in many cases you have a full tool, so why have another tool? Every other tool you need to integrate into Cloud ALM requires an integration. An integration costs money, has to be maintained, has to be updated with different releases. We want to avoid that. Because by using Cloud ALM, you can mitigate the risk. Existing technologies, that's the same. What's wrong with SAP Activate? Coming from Deloitte, we have our own method box. And we are working with how this method box, the framework can fit together, live together with Cloud ALM. Because we, of course, have some partner content, we have some processes, we have some methodologies, we have some templates, and all that you could see this morning with Michael Clifford's presentation, that we can bring into Cloud ALM. But we need to make the change in the head of the people so that they can understand that we will bring that into, that this, together we are stronger. That is one thing I think we are working with our customers and also internally. And the tool change. That is one of the most important things that I work with in the different projects. I right now involved in 8 different projects where we discuss the tool chain, where we work with the tool chain, where we discuss about Cloud ALM, Focus Build, still, where to use what, when to use what, which tool use. But also here we need to have a clear picture of which tool chain do we want to use. And why, and for what. I right this morning had a customer meeting where we discussed the tool chain. And luckily, I had a presentation where I put Cloud ALM in the middle, and then the customer could understand, okay, that makes sense. So that's up to you also to have a good presentation, to get a good story. Enabling is also storytelling. Then I have a couple of critical success factors. When I prepared this, okay, what is the critical stuff here? One of the major things is the maturity. The maturity of the customer. Does he have a long story you working with SAP? Maybe as long as I have my experience SAP, then he is very mature and also know all the problems and challenges he has. Then it's very critical. But what about the sequence of the transports? How do you guarantee all this? What is about was our N+1+2 landscape? How can we make you sure of all that? How can Cloud ALM cover this? Or a startup, a public cloud customer, So of course, we could use Cloud ALM. That's cool. The project team also. One of the, and that's right here, one of the biggest blocker right now sometimes is the old school consultant. I don't care about the tools, I just need to transport. And I don't care about, I need the transport now into the system. Oh, but the transport you have here, it's for the next release. You can't move that now. But I need it. Yeah, but you have to follow the governance. We have some rules in this, how we do. Oh, I don't care. That's also something that we need to take care of. We need to train, enable the team from the beginning. And that's why we also start very early. Start early. We start before the project. Right now, as a customer, the project starts next year. We already have worked 2 months in setting up Cloud ALM. Okay, that took 50 minutes. But now to train and have a trail project, a training project, where we work through all the phases how Cloud ALM works. They then can we have a buy-in from the customer, from the customer's organization. That is what I'm working with right now. The mindset. Show the business value. One of the biggest business value is already, okay, we don't need a box, 2 boxes of Solution Manager. Everything is inside. We have much more agility. It's very fast to work with that, very fast to adapt that. And agree the tool chain before the project starts. I've been in so many projects where we have started up and then, okay, we want to focus build, okay, we need it for the build phase. Okay, then 2 weeks before the build phase, we will set it up. No. We have to start before the project starts, then the governance tool, and that is Cloud ALM, earlier was focus build, has to be in place. And then the right balance of everything. You need to also to adapt, say, okay, respect that the customer has another tool that needs to integrate, that we need to work with, find the right things. Project types, greenfield, brownfield, you name it, everything can be used there. But be aware of old habits. And the gray-haired, bearded old consultant with more than 20, 30 year experience are the worst. I've been there before, it works for, so why can't I just do as I always have done? Old tools. Oh, we have used this tool for 20 years. It works fine. Yeah, but we have another constellation. We have another thing. We have another complexity in our landscape. And then the old school consultancy. So, how we work with Deloitte. When we had this, we chipped it up. All Cloud ALM is too complex to see. When you log in, it's too many things that can already. So we have chopped it up in different areas. We have created a community where we then had different SMEs. So we organize, for each of this, we organize an SME group that works with our service packages. Then we have this year started to work with the community and had a timeline here. So we have started, this community is EMEA-wide, is around 100 consultants and professionals in Deloitte, where we train, where we meet, as you can see, once a month to chop it up, to learn how to use Cloud ALM. And then that's how we train and build the SME groups throughout this summer, and ended up here with, of course, the transfer. So we have a similar plan for next year, for the next until the next summer, where we intensify that. So we have trainings, and now we have a lot of projects. We can use examples internally. The good thing with Cloud ALM, we can access things via the browser, so that's a very cool thing. Last thing, the 3 main things that I will take as your takeaways you should remember. Get started in time. Enable your organization, because very often you will sit alone and say, okay, this is a cool tool. Say, okay, we have a lot of other cool tools. We have another tool chain. And then be open for new ways of working. Thank you.
Thank you, Ole, for that insight. I think this is also something that we should honor, that our partners are telling really how they are using it and give their also critical success factors, insights in how they enable their teams. And I think Deloitte is definitely one of the top global partners who are doing also the big RISE projects. And yeah, happy to have you here and to continue working with you. So the next session is from our partner Nagarro. Yeah, usually I would like to ask Julia now on stage. I have to apologize, Julia. She gave me notice on last Friday that yeah, what can be the reason? Either Corona or the customer, right? So in this case, it was the customer. So she said there's some serious things she has to take care. She cannot be here with us today, but she was so kind to explain the story to all of us, and we have fortunately now all the recording, and maybe we just listen in the next 15 minutes to Julia as she's telling us how Nagarro is using Cloud ALM in their company. So for that, yeah, just let's listen together what Julia talks to us.
The primary delivery platform at Nagarro. At first, I would shortly like to introduce Nagarro to you. So, who are we? We are a company, an IT consulting company that was founded in the Silicon Valley in 1996. With offices in 34 countries, we are represented globally with over 19,000 colleagues in all kinds of areas, not only SAP, and have client projects in over 60 countries. In Germany, we have our largest SAP unit with almost 700 consultants, and I'm allowed to be a part of that. My name is Julia Krause, and I'm a project manager in our SAP Public Cloud unit. I look after both ERP and SF, means SuccessFactors projects. And I am the contact person when it comes to setting up and using Cloud ALM in our business unit and in customer projects. Today, I would like to briefly introduce you to our standard approach with Cloud ALM. Since 2023, we have committed ourselves to using Cloud ALM as a standard project management tool in all new customer projects. So let's get started. Our usage of Cloud ALM in project management. So here I have marked you the tiles that we use when it comes to our project management. At first, of course, we set up the projects. It means we choose which kind of Activate roadmap do we have, mostly the public cloud 3-system landscape. And yeah, we set here up the different information that we need. Means we set up the teams that we will have in the project. This always depends if we are in an ERP or in a SuccessFactors project. Either we really do it per stream or per module. What I mean here is if we have a ERP project, we mostly have only the modules, means we have MM teams, SD teams, and so on. If we have a SuccessFactors project, we have the different streams. That means we have Employee Central recruiting, Employee Central, the whole setup of Employee Central, and so on. That means we really define our teams depending on the projects. Then we also define with the customer which roles are needed. Can and do we like to use the SAP standard roles, or do we have our own roles that we would like to use in this project? This is a task we do together with our customer because sometimes they don't really understand what are behind the SAP standard roles. That means here we really create our own roles. We also set up the different time boxes we have throughout the project, and of course the scopes and deliverables that we will have. How do we use the time boxes? So once at the beginning of the project, we from the project management team, we go with our customer into the system and we discuss the phases. Mostly the phases are already discussed in the contracting phase, but also here we really have a look at it with the customer again and explain what we are doing in the system and how he can also modify the system if needed. That means we really set up the whole phases, and we also discuss if we would like to work in sprints. And if we work in sprints, how long are these sprints? That means we have 2 week sprints, so we have 1 week sprints, whatever. Then we really set up all of the sprints throughout the project that we have really done it once. We block also all of the sprints except the current sprint that we are working in. We also set up all of the milestones that we know about. Here it's a bit, we use it as a living document, let me call it like that, because we at first, we only set up the milestones that we have on our plate. Of course, there are always additional milestones that we will deliver after a while in the project. So after setting up the whole scope regarding the DDA, we then really go into the fit to standard workshops. That means our consultants have prepared their fit to standard workshops related to Cloud ALM. So they really go into the system. They use the system as one source of truth. Means they demonstrate the solution value flow and also the solution process flow here in Cloud ALM. If we have some kind of requirements, tasks that we define during a fit to standard, our consultant can take all of the tasks, requirements, documentation in some kind of Excel sheet or OneNote or whatever he needs for the fit to standard workshops. But latest 1 week after the fit to standards, we would like to have it in Cloud ALM. That means we really work here as one source of truth. Means if we have some kind of requirement, change request, whatever, this is linked to one scope ID. Same with the project tasks and also the documentation. Yes. Why we like to use it at this point is that we really have here all of the information that we need in one spot. Means we have the general information about the scope IDs, but we also have the description and can really work here with the customer. He has all of the transparency that he needs at this point, and that's why we decided to use it here. What we also do is have an overview of the process workflow. That means mostly we show the main process, but if we have to go into depth in some kind of smaller process, we can also choose it here. And what we see as a huge advantage is that we can create or we can customize the system a bit or the process workflow, say like this, a bit at this point at any time. So if needed, we also have here a documentation about the process workflow. Also here, as you can see, we try to use it as one source of truth. That means also if we have on a process workflow level some kind of requirements, we also do it directly in Cloud ALM, that we always have this link. Next is the quality gates. We try to define our quality gates once at the beginning of the project, but also here again, this is some living document. That means we, out of a project management view, we really document what kind of steps and what kind of quality gates do we see. Then I work together with my consultants and we create these checklists that you can see here. Depending on what kind of quality gate or milestone it is, of course, the checklist is longer or shorter, always depends. Wherever we can, we also try to link the project tasks direct to the quality gates so that we here have a clean workspace, let me call it like that, and can really have here again this one source of truth, this overview and transparency for the customer. The next thing that we use is the requirements. Requirements we mostly use as some kind of change request handling. Means also here again, we document it in Cloud ALM. The customer has to also give his approval through Cloud ALM. And if they reject some kind of change request or shift it into a different way, this is also all written here. When our consultants create some kind of change request or requirement, we always ask them to choose the team that is working on this, and also the responsible is always the team lead at this point. If they can also always choose a work stream. But for us, the most important is the team and the responsible person. The next thing we also try to really do 100% in Cloud ALM is a project documentation. That means we really use it as a documentation and one source of truth. It's for us super important because as soon as we are out of the project, the customer is left alone, and sometimes one doesn't document correctly, or the documents are in 10 Excel sheets. So we decided we don't want to have this anymore. We would like to have the documentation also in Cloud ALM so that our customer knows at any point he just has to look into this one tool and he can find everything he needs. This is also for us important, like if they have some kind of project that builds up on our project at any other point, and we might not be included in this project anymore for whatever reasons, then they really have a clean documentation, starting with the scope that we set up, through the tasks that we also work with in Cloud ALM, the requirements, and the documentation. So after we have documented everything and also are finished with the realize phase, or at the end of the realize phase, we also do our test management completely in Cloud ALM. Here I also marked the tiles that we use, and here is the test preparation. We mostly use the manual testing in Cloud ALM because we need the data-driven test management, and here we just have the feeling that Cloud ALM still needs a bit. That's why we mostly use the manual testing here. Here you can see a few test cases, but we create them mostly through an Excel sheet. So from our different projects that we have, we also have these, I will call it Nagarro standard test cases that we can mostly use for some customers. In the success factors world, it's easier. We also have our standard Nagarro test cases there. In the ERP, it's a bit more difficult, but also here we try to develop our standard and also use our standard. So mostly we have here an Excel upload. But of course, it can also happen that we have to create the test cases from scratch. So our consultants work here together with the customer. So consultants and key user have a test case session where they really define all of the titles, the activities, and also the steps that are underneath. We always use tags here in the test cases so that we are really sure that no test case can somehow not be related to a stream. Also, when we really start the test phase, that means after defining all of the test cases that we need, we use test plans. That means for every stream, for every module, we create one test plan, mostly for the different iterations that we have throughout the project. That means if we have 3 iterations, we have, I will right now take FICO as an example. We have FICO iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. So these are 3 different test plans that we use. And yeah, we try to ask the customer to really have an eye on using the correct test plan. Yeah, we use it as most of people use it, I think. We set a start and end date. We assign all of the test cases that are needed for this iteration. That means 1, 2, 3, and set this test plan into in testing. Then the key users can start, and I always say happy testing at this point. And then they can go into the system and really test their test cases. We like Cloud ALM for testing really a lot because it's very easy. You just go through the drop-down menu and you can set the test steps to passed or failed. If something fails, we always would like to have a comment in which system and which role are you working in. And we also ask our key users always to create a defect out of the test run so that we can really have an overview and this round picture that I love in Cloud ALM throughout the whole project. So the defect management. Here we ask the key users to really describe in such detail that no one has to ask them what went wrong. That means we really want a precise description and also the link to the test case. If we have a defect without link to a test case, then we always ask them to really go into it again and also assign the test case. For us, it's most important that the team is always chosen and the responsible person so that we always have here an overview around the workload. So the last thing that we use is the analysis in Cloud ALM. Here we once use the test case analytics. I think it's a super overview about which stream is right now working on what, how much have they already tested, and where are we standing in the whole test cases. So this is a super overview that we really like to work with in our projects. And the last analytics that we use is the defect analytics. Also here the same, like with the test cases, we always have a good overview, also linked to the different test cases again. So yeah, this is something that we really like to work with. And at this point, that's it with my presentation. I just want to say thank you a lot for having the time to join my slot. And I wish you a nice day on the Cloud ALM Summit.
Yeah, I think that was at the end a presentation of the standard functionalities of Cloud ALM, but I think it has another value if a partner shows how they really use it, and not only in one project, but in all of their projects. And you know, I mean, Nagarro is certainly one of the big partners that are delivering a lot of public cloud ERP implementations. So therefore, I thought it's definitely also good to have this insight that our out-of-the-box solution can really be used to implement all these cloud solutions out there. But there's also another option, and I'm happy that we can now also have a little deeper look in what Daniel yesterday presented already in his keynote, to see how Swisscom is now, let's say, putting something on top, right? And bringing also own content into Cloud ALM. Yeah? So far we saw really the standard usage, but every partner maybe has some unique knowledge or USPs. Yeah? And this is of course also something that Cloud ALM can support. And I'm happy to have two colleagues from Swisscom here, Gregor and Janne, and they will show us a little how they are using Cloud ALM with some individual content. So come on stage and yeah, you have the next 15 minutes.
Sweet. Can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay, that works. Yeah, sweet. Thank you very much for the opener. Definitely what we'll be talking about is what you have said, which is we're essentially preparing our business, or have we already done this? And we're also taking what Julia said, right, and applying what we already have. My name's Gregor, and I'm joined by Janne from our team. We represent Swisscom, and today we want to talk about our tools, as well as some of our best practices. So we are Swisscom. Our team, or almost our division, essentially is 450 people. We offer the following 4 services. I think we're all pretty much familiar with these. Nothing too far out of the box as we're doing our migrations, we're doing implementations of our tools. Again, nothing absolutely groundbreaking. But for those of you who were here last year during the Almaton, this is how our planning looks like. Exactly, Ole, you're nodding. This is our problem. Old tools and old consultancies. And something that I feel like should have also been mentioned is what happens with the old tools, and as you develop them, you create a huge problem, which we call feature creep. If you show this to someone, they have no idea how to use this. This is Excel, though. Everyone knows how to use Excel, right? But the problem is this natural learning that develops over time begs for a migration, begs for it to be reduced and simplified. So we used the opportunity for the Almaton last year to essentially completely overhaul this with our new solution, which is called Consultor. It's fairly simple. We use SAP Cloud Analytics. We decided to import all our data, make it as readable as possible so that even one of you guys can essentially look at this and immediately know, like, okay, there's clearly an issue of Team B over there. They're not doing enough. We need more of that. We can set our goals up here, see who reaches what. Again, all fairly standard, straightforward. As a matter of fact, we actually just used this before we came here. I was assigned for a new project. Daniel just sent me the screenshots over. Hey, we have a new project that's going to happen. We're going to apply it to Tanya. This is where the project's going to go, and that's it. Really standard, super easy to implement and to understand. For all the techies in the crowd here as well, this is essentially how this tool was broken down with. I think it's pretty straightforward as is. Self-explanatory. Yeah, I mean, that's why I made it nice and visual with the official slides. I think all the experts here understand this. So during our demo, of course, we removed the field glass implementation. But regardless, we were really happy, actually. Don't believe the picture. It's not first runner-up. It's second place. Daniel loves to mention it's first, but we're second. We managed to win with this. We were super happy about this. But this was not our only solution, actually. So last year before this, Daniel actually made the dual maintenance tracker. We spend a lot of time doing migrations in Switzerland. We have a lot of hospital clients who go from the old system to the new system. And so we realized, like, hey, this is something that we constantly use, and we're really prepared for this. So Daniel made this dual maintenance tracker you can currently get in the SAP store if this is something that you do often. And it's also very lightweight. Consultor, we're now at the 450 consultants that we have in our division that we are testing this with. So far it's going fairly well. We have a couple of features that we want to implement, but again, most important to us is that it's easy to understand, that you need no SAP knowledge whatsoever to immediately jump into the solution. And currently, as dictated by our shirts right now, we have the SAP Genie, which is our newest solution, our newest tool. And for more in-depth breakdown, Janne will take over from here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm always a little bit frustrated in the project. So I try always to maintain the project, but according to the maturity of the customer, we have to adapt again. So I'm kind of not only a test manager, also a process manager and a requirement manager. So we discuss it, that we can withdraw the processes from other projects and establish it into our private library and reuse it for the other projects which are more or less similar. For me as a test manager, it's very important the traceability. Like Juliana said, we use it, the requirements, the solution processes, and the test preparation, test execution for the traceability. I start with the documentation, like specification, and we can adapt it. I create processes, and then I go to the next block. According to the processes, I establish requirements and user stories or tasks, and continue. After that, if this is accomplished, then I go to the test cases, test executions, and defects. Process engineering, I mentioned it before. The documents are relevant for us in the project, and according to that, I produce processes and linked in with the documents. This is actually the manual to take the processes from the customer into our library. So when I take the process, I go to the process authoring, create the BPMN file, choose that the process I wanted to have it, that will go into scope, and take it and put it in there in the solution process flow. Now, this year we discussed that we can do it like all process, and this is actually the result which we are going to demonstrate. So before we establish the process, we have to make a kind of a normal process, like a placeholder, save it, and then go to our library, more or less. So at the moment, there is nothing in there. Then we go to our tool and choose then the process or processes. Export it, then go back to the Cloud ALM. And then we have to refresh it. And then we have our process. And then, when this process is established, then we are producing the requirements. We're here, and then we use user stories or task, and then continue with the test execution. And like Julian has told, that we pass or fail it, and at the end, we have the last block, the traceability, which I use, and I can present it to the customer that everything is done correctly, or we do have a defect which has to be resolved, and then we are clear. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jana. Thanks, Gregor. You can see this is one result also out of this Almaton. Yeah? So we always hope every year to trigger the innovation also at our partners, and at the end, the outcome can really result in very efficient tools that are helping our partners to do their projects more efficient. Thanks for that. It was very interesting to see that you also bring your own content, with this Genie and with this nice selection, instead of creating the individual BPMNs directly in your projects. Perfect. Okay, audio starts again. So with that, we are almost at the end. I'm very happy, and thanks again to our three presenters. I mean, I will tell Julia later on. There's another one that we recorded, but we don't have, unfortunately, the time to do it. I will put all the three plus this one in a blog next week, and we'll share it also on our partner hub. So if you're interested, because that is also one presentation, how Adventas as a partner is producing additional process content for their specific industry. I think they are very focused on the global trade management as a sub-area of S4, and they have produced additional 50 processes, and they're also bringing them in their project. So if you're interested how Peter from Adventas is doing that, this is also a 15 minutes presentation. I will put all the four next week, the videos then into our partner hub. So just for your reference. With that, just to share the post. Don't forget to give the feedback. I think for this session is even more important than all the others, because I'm always very interested in is this the right way? Are you interested to listen what other partners are telling, or do you always want or prefer SAP talking about the latest news and features? So therefore, please give your rate in the tool, how you like this session. And with that, I think we might have 1 or 2 questions. Is that okay, Konstantin? Yeah?
Yes, let's go for 2 or
Not to
3
me,
questions.
but maybe to any question to Swisscom or to Ole from Deloitte about their presentation, if you want.
Just raise your hand if you have questions. I will come to you.
Ole, I liked your timeline of how you prepare your consultant resource pool with trainings. Do you have a tool internally to ensure that you follow up that they actually participated, or is there some certification so that you really can prove our guys have the competence?
Yeah. This timeline we have there are community meetings. So that are online meetings of 2 hours where I can see who participate. And in regards to the different topics we have, I can see that in the release management, a typical release management people that are following the feature stuff. One of the most interesting area for where I can see our biggest participation is about the project management part. So we are just using Teams on this, where I can see the participant list that we have there. We will, for the next year, our fiscal year is from May to June. For the next year, for the next 12 months or 10 months, we have scheduled 10 meetings again, where we then will end up on an on-site meeting in June, so that where we then can take, for example, the consultant badge and stuff like that to make sure that there's also a little bit interesting in that. And then we also have so many Cloud ALM projects, so that we have a big experience from both public sector and tier 1 projects where we use the tool. Right now, everybody's talking about it, and for me also the focus is on the transition from Solution Manager to Cloud ALM. That will be a big topic also where we need to support. We have demo systems, demo Solution Manager systems ready, so as soon as the tools are released from SAP, we will use and try it in our Solution Manager system to bring that to that. Because right now, I think nobody has real life experience in the transition. If they have some sneak tools. Maybe Swisscom has already something APIs ready for all this, because what you showed last year will now be available. So I think that's also something we will look into.